Look, I used to be really insecure about my autism for most of my life. So I found out that I am diagnosed with autism at around age 11 or 12 or something like that. And at first I was like, woohoo, I finally understand why I'm different. But eventually, like when I got older and reached puberty and started going to high school and stuff, I started becoming ashamed of my autism because autism was kind of associated with being awkward and being unattractive and all those negative things, and I did not want to be that. And so I was insecure about my autism, I was ashamed of my autism, and I started being in denial about my autism. Like, at first I tried to hide it. Like, when I was in high school, I was not open about my autism whatsoever. I tried to make everyone think I was normal. And eventually I started being in denial about my autism. I started thinking that I used to have autism as a child, but I don't have it no more. I no longer have autism. I got cured from my autism. Or at the very least, I managed to get cured from all the bad things about autism, like being awkward and unattractive. And so I basically tried to escape reality. But as they say, you can escape reality, but you cannot escape the consequences of escaping reality. And so the consequences in my case of trying to escape reality was that I was not just autistic, I was extremely autistic. I was like the biggest spurg ever. I was like doing autistic things with my body. I was, for example, stimming. Like, it's basically when you do repetitive movements with your body as an autistic. I was stimming, I was doing like weird things with my hands because, for example, I have like sensory issues and sensory stuff going on where I need something to touch my palms of my hands, so I sometimes do like this with my hands, and people caught on to that and noticed that. And then I started this YouTube channel and people noticed that I was autistic. In like a bad way, that I had poor social skills due to autism. And eventually when I switched the content up and made the content on this channel to specifically target young men who are insecure about their autism, the first comment I received was a hate comment. Well, maybe not hate comment, but it was criticism, and it said, "This sounds like the most German, logical, rigid way attempt to say Germans are not rigid or illogical." And I will admit, I was kind of confused at this comment. I did not really understand this comment, and I pictured like a German person being like, "Yeah, we are not logical and rigid. Thinking that we are rigid and logical, that is super offensive to us." But I think what this comment meant was that basically I was thinking that I am not autistic and basically proving why I thought I was not autistic while behaving extremely autistic. Basically thinking that I was not a spurg while being the biggest spurg ever. So basically I was like, I am not autistic! I like trains and Star Wars! So basically, I had zero self-awareness, and imagine how fucking embarrassing it is when you see like an autistic person being like, "Who are you calling autistic here? I like Star Wars and trains!" Like, bro has zero self-awareness. Facepalm, literally. But instead, when I started accepting that I am still autistic, not just in a good way, but also in a bad way, like I still have all the weaknesses that come with being autistic. Once I accepted my weaknesses, not only was I able to live a better life by avoiding situations where weaknesses would become an issue. So, for example, I would avoid trying to become upset, because when I get upset, I spurg out. It's kind of like you have intense anger emotions when you are autistic, and I don't want to lash out at people, so I would avoid situations that would make me upset, for example, so that way I would live a better life. But not only that, but I was also able to mask and behave less like a spurg. Once I, for example, got enough self-awareness to realize that I, for example, do this thing with my hands, then I would just stop doing that and have open palms like that to at least mask and appear more normal in social situations. And I noticed that people liked me more. But instead, when you try to deny your weaknesses, like, you end up having an ego, and then when you, for example, try to deny that you are awkward and unattractive, this is something that I preach in the safe space, which you can find in the description, link in the description. I preach that when you are in denial of your weaknesses, that is when you keep failing in life. Because, for example, when you deny that you are awkward, you then feel the need to prove to the world that you are not awkward, and you try to pursue careers and opportunities and relationships in life that can allow you to prove that you are not awkward. So, for example, you try to become a public speaker, but then you fail because, newsflash, you are awkward. Whereas, if you instead accept that you are awkward, then you will not feel the need to become a public speaker. Like I said, you then avoid situations where your weaknesses become an issue. So, for example, maybe you start working with IT. Maybe you're really good at IT, and IT does not require you to perform socially. So you can be awkward and still get away with that. I hope that makes sense, and I will see you next time.
Вижу твой взгляд, стелю на горят, мог тебя взять, но ты не моя.